Hey, what's up guys? Ben Lee here. I got my buddy Ray over at the Wave House. We're going to be talking a little crypto. Technical, smart product guy. He's been in the crypto space for a couple of years, so he's definitely a credible source. And I thought we can start doing a little bit of 101 and dive right into this, the hottest stuff around right now in this crazy crypto world.
Yeah, it sounds good.
All right, so let's talk about the basic mechanics. How do I buy a Bitcoin?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of different ways to do it, but what I usually recommend to people is stick with the trusted, the most secure, and
who's got VC funding, who's got
right.
legitimate money behind it.
Right, and even have some domestic insurance against if they get money stolen from them or they lose accounts and things like that.
So which ones out there are the ones that you feel like you can trust?
Those would be Coinbase first and foremost,
okay.
Just because they have probably the easiest user interface. And then there's Kraken,
yep.
And then there's also Gemini.
Cool.
And so they kind of have their pros and cons, but Coinbase is definitely a good place to start.
I like Coinbase. I know I'm probably paying higher in fees because of it, but it's easy, it's simple. As you said, I know the UI, and then I just transfer my coins to cold storage. So that's how I do it. All right, we're going to be putting all these resources, below. All right, so that kind of covers sort of the broad spectrum of buying, Bitcoin, Ethereum, some of these other coins we're going to be talking about in a second here. What is cryptocurrency? Maybe we should start there. We kind of jumped ahead and said, how do you buy these things? But what is cryptocurrency?
Well, I mean, it kind of started out just as a way to make sure that you can create an asset that is immutable, which means that once it's created, that's pretty much set in stone, right? That's not something that anyone can debate. It can't be altered very easily without having a lot of difficulty from a malicious standpoint, right?
That's always the way I've explained it in kind of layman's terms.
Right.
You can't cheat Bitcoin.
Right.
You can't really cheat it.
Yeah, it's not feasible.
There's this general ledger that's tracking every single transaction, and people say you can track it, and yeah, you can if we get super granular and technical and talk about wallet IDs, but we're not doing that right now. And from a general standpoint, when I send you a transfer, a Bitcoin and Ethereum, we have a key that's generated. We're sending each other coin. That is trackable, that transaction. But nobody knows who these individuals or recipients are.
Right.
And I think that's the key thing about crypto is that it's anonymous. You can't cheat it because there is a ledger that's logging every single transaction taking place. Mm-hmm. And you can't create more.
Right.
And that's the sort of the argument is, and that's we're going to talk about in some of our future videos of, what's happened recently with the Bitcoin fork and some of these things. But let's talk about Bitcoin for a second. That's a controlled amount. There's a controlled supply of Bitcoin.
Right.
You can't create more going to, the treasury and asking for more money or whatever.
Right. Similar to the balances of everybody's wallet, the other thing that's kind of set in stone that everybody who participates in Bitcoin enforces, right, is the code base underneath it. And the code base stipulates that there's a fixed amount of Bitcoin ever to be released, and it gets released at a regular rate. That's known for the next, century or so, however long it's mapped out to. So that there's kind of a known amount of coin that's going to be in circulation. It's not like somebody can just start making new coin.
More.
Right.
Exactly. You can't make bootleg Bitcoins on the market. It won't work. The code base doesn't allow for it. Simple as that. There's a lot of heavy players that have been coming into the crypto space, mainly because of all the big money that these ICOs are attracting. Mark Cuban and the esports ICO, which one is that again?
Well, kind of that's a bit jumping ahead, because what we've been talking about are kind of the currency type blockchains, which are the ones that you generally have access to on Coinbase, right, which we mentioned. And so the reason why there's some of these other exchanges, even though I don't think they're as easy to use, is because that lets you start trading like Bitcoin and Litecoin and things like that for some of these other alternate blockchains that you started mentioning, like Mark Cuban and so forth have been endorsing.
All right, so there's ICO craze, and for those of you that don't know what an ICO is, it's an initial coin offering. It's kind of like I guess initial public offering when your company goes public and it IPOs. Instead, this is an ICO. The only difference is you don't really need to have a business or a product, which is kind of crazy. I know as a technologist, you have a lot of opinions about this, so tell me about it.
Yeah, I mean, these are available to anyone, because even an IPO, not everybody can participate in this, but the ICO is for really anyone, as long as you're holding the coin that they accept. Usually Bitcoin or Ethereum, right? And so part of it is trying to figure out, what do I invest in? Because there's so many choices. Like as of right now, when I look at coinmarketcap.com, which is where, that's like kind of a
resource. It's like your table of contents or whatever.
Right. There's over 1,000 of these now.
Wow.
Right. And so, I couldn't tell you what all of them are. I try to pay attention to like maybe the top 50, but it's a lot to digest.
There's a lot. And I mean, I look at market cap. That's what I focus on. I'm a long trader, or long game kind of trader, where I don't play with the day to day. I'm looking at market cap growth and who's catching up to Bitcoin. Back to the ICO stuff, who are some of the players that are jumping on? Because there's a lot of celebrities and influencers. Every day I feel like there's a new celebrity investing or creating an ICO.
Yeah, one of the most recent endorsements is for the stocks coin, or STX, which is so new it's not even in a lot of the major exchanges.
Mayweather's got his hands in that, right?
Right. Yeah. So Floyd Mayweather's posting on his social channels and things like that and promoting it.
So the next person is Mark Cuban in esports. He's been doing a lot of, been making a lot of waves. He was kind of originally, not the biggest fan or advocate of cryptocurrency. Bitcoin was, numerous times said it was a bubble. Now he's, kind of going all in on that. Who are some other players that you see?
Probably the biggest rising star of alts is Neo right now. They were in the,
Been hearing a lot about
barely
that.
breaking into top 50 just 2 weeks ago, maybe. And now they're top 10.
Now I think they're right behind Litecoin in terms of market cap.
Yeah. And that's a big deal.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when I was, invested in Litecoin, like $16. This is 4 or 5 years ago, and it would just move so little fractions. Now it's
these huge
catching up to the
movements
top. That's what I look for. I'm looking at gains, and that's what attracted me to Ethereum, was just these massive gains that I never even saw with Bitcoin.
Right.
So those are things to pay attention to. We don't want to give away strategy or advice. We want to just kind of give knowledge, inform people on all these things, and let them make their own decisions on how to be a smart cryptocurrency investor and how to get into it with all the resources that you have at your disposal. So last but not least, somebody wants to get into crypto, whether it's buy Bitcoin or sell Bitcoin, mine Bitcoin, what should they do? What are some of the blogs they should be going to? What are some of the tools they should be having? And then security. That's a big thing. I think that needs to be like day one as part of your crypto starter kit.
Yeah.
So let's start with resources or blogs.
Right.
Like, what are the blogs that you recommend people go for knowledge?
What's interesting is normally I would say this is a very noisy research, but I'd say Reddit is actually a really good resource.
It's a good one.
Because every time a new solid cryptocurrency comes out, somebody makes a subreddit.
Yeah.
And then you have good administrators that start to...
They try to flush out the fake news and people trying to manipulate ICOs, and
so it's
Reddit
up to date.
mods are good.
As well as because of Reddit's upvote downvote system, you get the most relevant content close to the top. So if it's something that's important, or like it's a security update or news about the coin, it'll be close to the top.
I like that. CoinDesk obviously is the other.
Yeah, definitely. They've been around.
They've been around for a long time. They're a really trusted source. We were featured when we started the Dogecoin event here a couple years ago. Security. Where do you recommend people go for security?
There's kind of a lot of the sites you mentioned, like CoinDesk covers that a lot. Reddit covers it a lot, because there's a lot of shared knowledge about how people should keep their coins secure, and generally people steer you towards like getting a hardware wallet. The thing is with that is, I think a very new person,
Yep.
it might be a little bit overwhelming.
Yeah.
Right? There's a lot of steps.
I agree. The
Yeah.
hardware is maybe when you're a little bit, you're not at the sort of entry stage of all this. Check out the tube also. There's a lot of crap out there. And that's kind of part of what we're doing. Is part of my content is really making sure that we're putting out good knowledge and bringing in really smart people in the crypto space. But, you know, spend some time on YouTube, Google. Try to find people that are like less about giving opinions and investment strategy and more about facts. What security protocols to do, hardware, you know, that comes later. Things to read, learning. Just keep learning. I mean, crypto is now in the New York Times. It's hitting mainstream every single day. I remember when that was unheard of, and my dad was like, "What are you doing buying all this crazy Russian cryptocurrency stuff?" All right, so that's Crypto 101. Ben Lee here, guys. We're signing off. Ray Talks Tech. My buddy Ray, he's got a lot of good knowledge on crypto, and we're going to be doing a lot more content for you guys. So engage, write, comment below what you'd like to hear so we can tailor our content accordingly. All right, thanks so much, guys.
Thanks.